Hello students, welcome to this online video lecture. Myself Mrs. Zadge SR from HM College Karad conducting here this video lecture under the Rayat Online School Education Project, that is the ROSE project, and I am conducting here the second lecture from the topic, that is reproduction in lower and higher plants. In first lecture we have completed the asexual type of reproduction methods in the angiospermic plants. In this second lecture, we are going to study the male reproductive whorl, which is present in the flower and it is taking part in the sexual reproduction. So let us start here the second lecture with the point, that is the TS of anther. Anther is a part of stamen and it is the fertile part of the stamen which is showing two main parts. The first part, it is known as the anther wall, and the second part, it is known as a microsporangium or pollen sac. The anther wall, it is made up of here again the four layers. So which are those four layers? The four layers are as below. The first here is the known as the epidermis, second layer endothecium, third layer that is middle layers, and fourth layer that is tapetum. So in the diagram we have to see the structure of this anther wall. For that the TS of anther structure we have to study. So here the TS of anther we can see shown in this diagram, and how the anther wall, it is made up of four layers that we have to see here. So first layer which is present, this is the outermost layer, and this outermost layer, it is known as the epidermis. First layer, outermost layer, which is made up of single layer cells and it is protective in function. The second layer which is present as an anther wall, that is known as the endothecium. It is again made up of single layer of cells and it is helping in the dehiscence of anther. When pollen grains are formed and they are getting matured, at that time the anther is getting dehisced, means the anther wall is broken down and the pollen grains are released in the atmosphere for the pollination. So for that dehiscence of anther, the second layer endothecium is taking part. Third layer which is present in this anther wall, it is multi-layered, and this wall layer is known as a middle layers. It is about 2 to 3 layered structure present inside this anther wall, which is protective in function, and the last or the fourth wall which is present, that is known as the tapetum. Here you can see the large pyramidal shaped cells which are present on this inner wall, that is known as the tapetum layer. It is again single layer of cells and it is providing nutrition to the sporogenous tissue and developing microspores. So when the anther is getting matured, at that time inside this tapetum layer microsporangium or pollen sac is present, and in microsporangium sporogenous tissue is present and developing microspores are present. To this sporogenous tissue and developing microspores, this tapetum layer is providing nutrition. So we have to remember all these functions of these four layers for the examination point of view. This is the first part of this anther, that is the anther wall, which is made up of four layers. Now the second part, it is known as the microsporangium or pollen sac, and this microsporangium, it is showing diploid sporogenous tissue, and this diploid sporogenous tissue is showing microspore mother cells inside it. So here you can see this is the single microsporangium. You can see here this cavity like structure, it is single microsporangium, but in this anther, this is the dithecous type of anther showing four microsporangia. This is the first, this is the second microsporangium, this is the third microsporangium, and this is the fourth microsporangium. So four pollen sacs or four microsporangia are present, which is showing diploid sporogenous tissue in it, and from that diploid sporogenous tissue microspore mother cells are developed, and from microspore mother cells the pollen grains or microspores will be formed during the development of this anther. Okay, now let us see here the structure of this pollen grain. You can observe here Inside the microsporangia, the yellow colored structure, that is pollen grains. We can see here, these are the pollen grains. Okay. Now let us see here the structure of dehisced anther. When the pollen grains are getting matured here, at that time the anther wall is broken down. You can see here, this is the region of dehiscence through which the pollen grains are liberated out of this anther, and here also this is the region of dehiscence from this side, and with this uh, dehiscence the pollen grains are liberated out in the environment for the pollination. Okay, so in this dehiscence process, the second wall layer of this anther, that is endothecium, is playing important role. Okay, now let us see the microsporogenesis process, how the microspores are formed inside the microsporangium or pollen sac. So here the first stage of this microsporogenesis is it is from the meiosis of the diploid microspore mother cell. So how the microspores are formed? Microspores are formed by the meiosis of diploid microspore mother cells, and this process of the formation of microspores is called as a microsporogenesis. As you have studied in the 11th standard, during meiosis, one parent cell divides into four daughter cells. Likewise here, one microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to form four haploid microspores. That we have to remember. One microspore mother cell diploid, it is undergone meiosis to form the four haploid microspores. Okay, and generally these haploid microspores which are formed are present in the form of tetrads, means the four pollen grains which are formed are remain together in a tetrad form. Four microspores are there, and hence the name is given as a tetrad. Okay, now let us see actually how the microsporogenesis is taking place. So here the process of microsporogenesis starts from the microspore mother cell. You can see here, this is the microspore mother cell showing a diploid nucleus, and it undergoes meiosis. In the meiosis, meiosis first and meiosis second we can see. So first of all here, this microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis first, and after meiosis first, the formation of two haploid nuclei we can see. This is the first nucleus, this is the second nucleus, and these two nuclei undergoes meiosis second, and there is formation of four haploid nuclei. You can see here, after meiosis second, this is the first nuclei, this is the second, this is the third, and this is the fourth. So four haploid nuclei will be formed from one diploid nucleus. So from meiosis here, the diploid nucleus of the microspore mother cell is dividing into four haploid nuclei, and then these four haploid nuclei are converted into microspore like structure, and all the four microspores are remain together, and the structure is formed is known as a tetrad, and generally the pollen grains are formed in the tetrad condition. Okay, so in this way, from one microspore mother cell, four pollen grains or four microspores are formed during the process of this microsporogenesis. Now let us see here what is the structure of the pollen grain. The pollen grain, it is a non-motile, haploid, unicellular and uninucleate structure. Why it is called as a non-motile? Because pollen grain is not having any cilia-like structure or flagella-like structure. Therefore, it is called as a non-motile. It is having haploid nucleus. It is single-celled structure and single-nucleated structure. And this pollen grain is showing double layered wall, that is known as a sporoderm, means the pollen grain is covered by two wall layers, and togetherly this wall layer is known as a sporoderm. So let us see in the diagram what is the structure of pollen grain. So this is the structure of pollen grain, and here you can see the two wall layers. This is the outer wall layer and this is this inner wall layer. This outer wall layer, it is known as a exine, which is made up of sporopollenin, a special type of chemical substance. Sporopollenin is used for the formation of this outer layer, that is known as the exine, and the inner layer, that is known as the intine. Here you can see the second layer, that is the enzyme which is made up of cellulose and pectin. Okay, this enzyme is interrupted at many spaces. You can see here, this is interruption at one place, this is second space interrupted enzyme, and this is the third space where the enzyme is interrupted. This interrupted space, it is known as the germ pore. This germ pore is responsible for pollen tube growth or the germination of the pollen grain after pollination. Okay, and the sporopollenin here, it is having some special characteristic feature. What is that characteristic feature? The sporopollenin is a non-biodegradable substance which is protecting the pollen grain from physical and biological decomposition. So this sporopollenin substance is a non-biodegradable, means it is not degraded or decomposed. It remains as it is in the environment. And why it is remaining or why it is not decomposing? Because it is the pollen grains exine wall, it is made up of sporopollenin which is non-biodegradable. It is protected from physical decomposition as well as biological decomposition. Okay, so this is all about the structure of pollen grain. Now the other structures which are present on the pollen grain that we have to see here. The exine of the pollen grain may be smooth, which is present in the wind pollinated plants, or it is spiny, which is present in the insect pollinated plants. Means in wind pollinated plants, the exine wall of this pollen grain is smooth, and in insect pollinated plant, the exine wall, it is of spiny structure. So let us see how these smooth pollen grains are there. So you can see here in this diagram, this is a single pollen grain showing the smooth type of exine, means that exine is not showing any structure on its wall, and therefore the wall of this pollen grain is a smooth, plain. You can see here in the second diagram, this is the pollen grain wall, and this wall is a plain wall, hence it is called as a smooth wall. Okay, and let us see here the structure of the spiny pollen grain. You can observe here in this diagram, the spines are present on this wall of the exine. You can see here, these are the spines which are present on this exine wall, and in the second diagram you can see the number of pollen grains which are showing this spiny exine. Okay, so in this way some pollen grains are smooth, and generally wind pollinated plants are showing smooth pollen grains, and some pollen grains are spiny. Generally insect pollinated plants are showing spiny pollen grains. Okay, now the exine wall, it is showing some interruption, and those interruptions are called as a germ pores, because these interruptions which are present on the exine are showing one or more interruptions which are looking like pores. The interruption is looking like pore, and hence it is called as a germ pore. Some plants are showing single germ pore, and some plants are showing three germ pores, and accordingly the name of pollen grain is given here. The pollen grains are showing single germ pore are known as a uniporate. Generally it is present in the monocot plants, and the pollen grains which are showing three germ pores are known as a triporate, and generally it is present in the dicot plant. So if single germ pore is there, it is known as a uniporate. You can see here in this diagram, this is the germ pore. Single germ pore is there, and hence it is called as a uniporate. Generally monocot plants are showing this type of pollen grain, and when three germ pores are present, you can see here in this diagram, this is the first germ pore, this is the second germ pore, and this is the third germ pore. So such type of pollen grain is called as a triporate, and it is present in the dicot plant. So in this way the pollen grains are showing different characteristic features according to the exine and according to the germ pore. Now related to these pollen grains, some NCERT points we have to see here, which is given here, the need points. The pollen grains of many species are causing severe allergies, because these pollen grains are uh, showing some disorders which are related to our respiratory system, and these disorders are known as bronchial disorders or chronic respiratory disorders, because these pollen grains are inhaled through the respiration mechanism inside our body, and the respiratory system is getting affected with the help of some pollen grains, and they are causing some disorders like asthma and bronchitis, particularly the pollen grains of the Parthenium. Here example is given, Parthenium hysteroporus, that is a carrot grass which is present as a weed in our crop field, and the pollen grains of this Parthenium are responsible for causing severe allergies. This is the first need point. Then second, some pollen grains are very rich in the nutrient. Some plants are showing pollen grains which are rich in nutrient, and from that pollen grains, pollen tablets and syrups were produced which are used as a food supplement. So using the pollen grains which are rich in nutrient, pollen tablets and syrups are produced which are used as a food supplement. And sometimes here the pollen consumption has been claimed to increase the performance of the athletes and race horses. If suppose the pollen tablet or pollen syrup which is rich in nutrient is taken by the people, then there is increase in the performance of the athletes, or you can use to increase the performance of the race horses. These pollen products we can use for this. So let us see here which are those pollen products which are used by the different purposes. So you can see here these are the different pollen products. This is the energy shake, bee pollen cream is there, then the droplets are there, and the pollen tablets are there which are used for different purposes to increase our uh, activity. Okay, so these are the first point related to this pollen grain from the NCERT book. Now the second point related to the pollen grain, that is the viability of the pollen grains, means how many how much time the pollen grains will remain viable, that is they are live in condition or they are responsible for germination, that is known as the viability. So here in cereals like rice and wheat, the pollen grains are viable within 30 minutes of their release, means a very short period of viability is there for the rice and wheat cereal plant like rice and wheat. It is showing only 30 minutes of viability of the pollen grain. But in some cases you can see the families like Rosaceae, Leguminosae and Solanaceae, the pollen grains from this family are showing viability of the certain months, means up to certain months the pollen grains are remain viable. And the third point given here is the pollen grains can be stored for many years in the liquid nitrogen at a temperature minus 196 degree centigrade, and these stored pollen grains are used in the crop breeding programs. This point is very much important for the NEET examination point of view. The pollen grains are stored for many years. We can store or we can preserve the pollen grains for many years. This preservation can be done in the liquid nitrogen at the temperature minus 196 degree centigrade, and these stored pollen grains are used in the crop breeding programs. Okay, so this is all about the structure of pollen grain. Now from this pollen grain the male gametophyte development is taking place. So here we have to see how the pollen grain is developed into the male gametophyte during the sexual reproduction. So the first step here, the pollen grain, it is the first stage of the male gametophyte development. Okay, and from this pollen grain the male gametophyte is developed. Before that, the pollen grain is undergoing the first meiotic division to produce two cells. The bigger naked cell, it is known as a vegetative cell, and the smaller thin walled cell, it is called as a generative cell. So first of all, the pollen grain is undergoing here mitotic division, first mitotic division, and there is formation of two cells. Larger cell is known as a vegetative cell and smaller cell is known as a generative cell. So here you can see in the diagram, this is the structure of pollen grain. A single nucleus is there, and after the mitotic division two nuclei or two cells will be formed. The larger cell, it is known as the vegetative cell, and the smaller cell, it is known as the generative cell. In this way, during the first first mitotic division here, the pollen grain is showing formation of two cells. Larger cell is known as a vegetative cell and smaller cell is known as the generative cell. the second mitotic division, it is taking place here in the generative cell to produce two non-motile male gametes. So here the second mitotic division is taking place in the generative cell to produce two non-motile male gametes. Okay, and generally this mitotic division is taking place either in the pollen grain or in the pollen tube, because in some plants the pollen grains are generated after the formation of male gamete, or the some plants are showing the development of this male gamete in the pollen tube. So this second mitotic division, it is taking place either in the pollen grain or in the pollen tube. Okay, because in most of the angiosperms the pollen grains are shed from the anther at this two-celled stage. Generally the pollen grains are pollinated, or they are coming outside the anther at this two-celled stage that we have seen in the just previous slide, the generative cell formation and vegetative cell formation. This two-celled stage pollen grains are generally liberated from the plant, and after pollination these pollen grains are deposited on the stigma, and the pollen grain is getting germinated, and there is formation of pollen tube, and after the formation of pollen tube the second mitotic division is carried in the generative cell. So how this happens, that we have to see here in this diagram. So if suppose the pollen grains are producing two male gametes in this pollen grain stage, then the structure is looking like this. This is the vegetative nucleus formed, and the generative cell is dividing into these two male gametes, and this is known as a three-celled stage. In some plants, the three-celled stage pollen grains are liberated during the pollination, but in some plants two-celled stage pollen grains are liberated, and on the stigma the pollen grains are germinated and the pollen tube will be formed, and in that pollen tube we have to see the formation of two male gametes. And here you can see how this pollen tube is formed. This is the pollen grain and this is the pollen tube. You can see here this is the tube like structure known as a pollen tube, and in pollen tube the male gametes will be formed after pollination. So in some plants three-celled stage, or in some plants two-celled stage, and development of male gametophyte we can see, and the tube nucleus is formed inside the pollen tube. In this way, in the angiospermic plant, the development of the male gametophyte is taking place from the pollen grain. So total stages of the development of the male gametophyte we can see in this diagram. This is the first stage, A stage, only a single pollen grain you can see. In the B stage, second stage, two cells are formed. A larger cell is known as a vegetative cell, smaller cell is known as a generative cell, and then this generative cell is getting separated inside this pollen grain, and this generative cell is dividing into two cells, and these two cells are known as here male gametes. This is one male gamete, this is second male gamete. Okay, and sometimes these gametes are produced after pollination on the stigma. So there the male gamete formation is taking place in the pollen tube. So in this way the structure which is present in the F stage, this is the F stage, and this is the structure of the male gametophyte which is formed in the angiospermic plant. So in this way, in today's lecture we have completed the all information about the male reproductive whorl of the flower, that is the structure of anther, TS of anther. Then we have completed the microsporogenesis process, the detailed information about the pollen grains and the development of the male gametophyte. So we will stop here, and the remaining point we have to see in the next lecture. Till then, thank you.